right, welcome to OPS Unfiltered. I'm your host, Jared. This week, we're going to do one of our Building in Public series. I have co-founder CTO Brendan Beebe here. Welcome, Brendan. So yeah, we're just going to give you guys a look behind the curtain and talk about building in public, everything that's gone well, that's gone bad, and everything in between. So my first question is, Brendan, what have been our main wins of 2024 so far?
I think our biggest win is just the number of logos we brought on. It's really easy to fudge finances and average contract value and whatnot, I feel, because you can make it whatever you want in a lot of different ways. But since August, September, when we officially kind of launched, we've 6x the number of customers we have. We currently have 60 customers live using the software, and that's easily the biggest win. If you compare that with where we were last year, where it took us, 3 to 4 months to onboard customers, the product's finally to a place where we're able to onboard customers, they get a value, and we can sell them consistently.
And then something I'd add as well is we've been able to sell relatively big logos in Utah. That was always our focus. We wanted to really take over the Utah e-commerce scene. So brands like Thread Wallets, Mountain Ops, Borboleta, Obvi we just recently brought on. Any other big logos from MidMarket that I'm missing? I can't remember.
Did you say Mountain Ops?
Yeah, Mountain Ops.
LitJoy Crate.
Yeah, LitJoy Crate.
There's a bunch of them. Like I think one of the keys to this win is that it wasn't just, hey, we went down market, gave the product away for free. We kind of stood our ground, looked for quality customers with higher contracts where we could deliver way more value. And so that 6x in customers was actually upping the quality of our customers as well. So far this year, how has sales and marketing evolved? What would be one of the big wins you guys have accomplished?
So at the beginning of the year, we were going from nothing, no processes. We didn't even have a CRM. And we've gone from that to a true motion for sales and marketing. So from 0 to about 70 demos booked a month through inbound marketing. We've gone from closing about $6K a month in MRR to now $15K. Overall, we've just raised the bar and we've started a motion that has us on collision with a $3 million ARR run rate next year, which that was the goal. It was like, we knew it was inevitable to get to $1 million, but I think this year especially, we wanted to not just like struggle our way to $1 million in revenue, but start a motion, like start a flywheel that's going to continue us on to 3 million. And I would say we're doing that right now. It's very much happened.
Yeah, I agree. At the beginning of the year, it was a stretch to hit 6,000 a month. We were just starting out, and now 6,000 is easy, and 15,000 is what we're crossing.
Well, more than just a stretch, it was like,
well, from my perspective, it felt impossible.
It was like Jared has to go network and get, or like Logan has to find everything. We actually have channels that are bringing in leads. Like we understand what prospecting takes for an SDR, how much sits they can bring in that will convert to a close. We understand how much money we need to put into meta ads or PPC or SEO and what that's going to bring out. We're starting to get real data behind like what our sales cycle is, and the dust is starting to settle around like CAC and LTV. Still not like 100% clear, but like
from where we were though, I remember, was it like March or April when we got our first like submission on the website? I know it was like a party. It was one submission a week.
I don't think people understand the stress of starting inbound. Like, because I've started inbound before for other companies, and like there's always like that 2-month period where things are ramping up and you're sweating bullets, even though you've set expectations proper, like, oh, this is going to take a couple months for it to come in. But like I was sweating bullets because like we spend a lot of money on the Creatively ad.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just like the beginning of inbound starting, you're just like, I'm going to be fired from my own company in a year. This doesn't work. Like, so luckily it ended up working, and like we're on a great path.
Yeah, the fun comparison from somebody who's outside of sales and marketing is we have a channel in Slack that it just notifies people whenever somebody submits a contact info on the website. Everybody's a part of it. And in March, it was like we were celebrating, yes, we got one, and once a week maybe. And now it's like over the weekend we'll get like 15, and nobody even anything.
It's actually incredible. Like we truly did go from like 0 to hero. It feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 78 form submissions in June
and 13 in April. Is that what it was?
Yeah, and in this month, like Logan has done next to no prospecting, and we're still good. We're on track to hit 15K. Like it's honestly incredible.
That's awesome.
So what's been some of our biggest failures this year? What have we learned?
Early on in the year, we made the choice to kind of go down market. We had this idea, this hypothesis that if we built an OMS, we could give it away for free as kind of a PLG product-led movement. And we did that from April, May. We started the year that way, actually.
No, it was like June of last year until like February.
Yeah. So we really thought the idea of going PLG, like this is a great way to go viral. Let's go this. And what ended up happening is we got a lot more customers really quick. But then come April and May, a lot of those same customers churned, and it was completely outside of our control. These were customers going under. They didn't have enough revenue in the first place. Their cash flow was poor. They couldn't afford to use us in the first place. And the needs they needed were just as great as a lot of the bigger customers. And so I think that'd be our biggest like kind of failure or misdirection we made this year. But I think we corrected quickly.
So coming off of SAAStr last year, you look at companies like Monday.com or just incredible companies that started down market. They do what's called product-led growth. So after SAAStr, we were thinking, man, Luminous needs a product-led growth motion. We need to give away something for free, start down market, and then slowly go up market as we evolve as a business. And it actually ended up not being true. And honestly, I would say if we would have stayed down market on that path and not pivoted really quickly in February, I think we'd be having a very different conversation right now.
We would have killed our company easily. Yeah. I think we see 100 other ERPs that did exactly that, and they have kind of a mediocre product making $0.
That was also encouraging to having these learnings and then having a conversation with like a founder in the space who did that thing, and it like confirms it reinforces some of the decisions that we made. So that's been really good.
What trends are you seeing in the industry right now?
Right now, I started selling Luminous about 4 years ago. So I've sort of had a pulse amongst brands doing like $3 to $100 million in revenue, give or take. I've noticed the consensus has slowly changed. So back 4 years ago, people wouldn't even have a conversation. It was very binary. So we need NetSuite. Like we want to go big, therefore we're going to go to NetSuite. We need all these features. We need NetSuite. NetSuite was generally the consensus of if you want to scale and if you're in that revenue range, you need to go to NetSuite. So what we've noticed in the past year or so, as we've talking to these same customers a lot of time, people on NetSuite, the dust has settled with a lot of mid-market e-commerce and their experience at NetSuite. And what you see is a lot of mid-market e-commerce companies, they're trying to right-size their tech stack. So I think this is actually a broader trend in e-commerce, though. From 2015 to like 2022, e-commerce was thought to be a great vehicle for venture money. So you had like really inflated valuations. And this would cause a lot of mid-market brand owners in that revenue range to hire a 300K COO or to get a big, massive ERP like NetSuite because they needed it because they're going to 9 figures in revenue. And it just didn't end up happening. I think the dust is settling and there's a lot of brands that are just sitting at $20 million a year and they need to get profitable and they need to have a right-sized tech stack. And
why are they getting off NetSuite?
It's normally it's because it's too big. It's too clunky. Their business has shrunk. They didn't get as big as they thought. And it's, you're talking about like $10,000 a month contracts for a behemoth of a system. And so think of it this way, like they were buying the shoes that they thought they were growing into. And then 2 years later, they figure out like, Oh, actually, we're just like a 5-person team, really. We don't have a 10-person purchasing team.
Do you feel like they notice it purely because of the pain of running it, or is it they hit their renewal and their annual contract just doubled?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both those things. They didn't grow as well as they thought they did, but also renewals are coming up. And what we see is really common with NetSuite, which they might be digging their own grave for mid-market, is they're just raising prices every single renewal. Like I've seen some companies, they go from like an $80,000 a year contract to like 140, like significant increases. And they just don't care. Like,
yeah, I was on a Reddit thread. They're talking about renewals in general and how they'll generally get you on with discounts. So they'll say it's $10,000 a month, but you get a $5,000 discount. But when renewals come around, they'll never give that discount again. Or if they do, it's very rare. And your rate will never go down. Like it is, the first rate you get is the minimum, and it will only go up from there. And if you don't get the discounts, then you're just kind of stuck. Like you can't do anything. And so there's a big Reddit thread I was following that was talking about it. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's not that, oh, NetSuite sucks. No, actually, I mean, there's a reason why NetSuite kicks our asses in sales and marketing. They're able to sell this really general product to mid-market e-commerce way better than we're doing.
Right.
And I think there's something to learn there on the sales and marketing side. But like, as far as people's real experience right now, I'm pretty confident to tell you that if you're a mid-market e-commerce company, you will not have a good experience with NetSuite in the long run. Maybe if you have a couple $1 million through the implementation, but that's likely not in budget now for e-com companies. So just keep that in mind. So why is Luminous a NetSuite alternative for these brands?
So I think a lot of people bought into NetSuite because they felt like it was a SaaS product. It was on the cloud. It's a SaaS product. I can just buy it, start using it. I think what they misunderstand is whether it's NetSuite or whether it's one of the tier 1 ERPs like Acumatica or Dynamics, these are platforms that you bring on board and then you spend 1% to 2% of revenue to customize. It's not like a standard SaaS product that you get what you get. It's built for your specific use case. You turn it on and it's working. And so I think that's one of the main issues. And so even pitching ourselves as an alternative I don't even know if we sell the same idea, that we say solve the same problems, but the difference is that we're a SaaS product bundled and specialized and built for e-commerce companies. And it's not something you have to spend $1 million to customize.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd say we're not trying to just rebuild NetSuite in the cloud. Like, we're trying to build the first purpose-built ERP for modern omni-channel e-commerce. What that means practically is a lot of features around specialty wholesale, around embedded EDI, purchasing, inventory management across multiple platforms and multiple channels, and everything that comes along with that. Also, like, outsourcing fulfillment to a 3PL and FBA and maybe doing some in-house fulfillment. We think we're making a big bet that there's enough brands who are struggling with those specific use cases. So instead of rebuilding NetSuite in the cloud and just trying to compete with them like Odoo, Odoo is just like NetSuite Lite. It's just like take the cost and divide it by 10. We're not going that route. We're hyper focusing on a very specific type of company.
Yeah. In fact, we were talking to a company just yesterday that I think highlighted perfectly. They were on NetSuite looking to get off. They had NetSuite. They had a connector between them and Shopify that they were paying for. They had a SPS Commerce to connect to EDI. They had API connection that they custom built, pushing out to like their custom portal. And really what they've ended up running into is they were paying for NetSuite plus 10 different add-ons to kind of get the functionality they want, where all that's kind of built in natively into Luminous because we've seen the use cases over and over again. And it's not something you have to build custom every time you sign on a new customer.
Even just as you're bringing that up, it makes me think, why hasn't Shopify solved this problem? Even like just how you said it, like people end up using NetSuite and there's like 1 million add-ons. Like, why? Shopify dabbles in backend. Like they do order management, label printing, basic inventory. Like it just seems like if they solve that, I don't know. I wonder why they haven't like spent significant resources, because they could own backend and front end tech. Maybe it's just they're so wildly different. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's good. It's a really good question.
Or I bet Shopify will be looking to acquire an ERP one day.
So looking now, so January we were going down market. Now looking now, it's August-ish almost. Who is our ICP and how's that changed since January?
True modern omni-channel brands. Specifically, I started D2C, got product market fit. I expanded to specialty wholesale, so selling to mom and pop shops. I've expanded to big box retail. I'm selling at Costco and Rite Aid and Vitamin Shop. I use multiple 3PLs for the fulfillment of these things, and everything's a mess. There's what we hear so common with our ICP is there's no tool out there that will do embedded EDI and costing and push your inventory to all these channels like EDI and included. And it does exist actually. we do it. So that's I would say that's the gap that we're filling. That's our new ICP. In the revenue range of like 10 to 100 million. What's on the roadmap for Luminous in 2024?
So we're really focusing in on that ICP and their use cases around wholesale. And so we're focusing a lot on how those orders come in, whether that's through Shopify or EDI, making sure they're treated identically, but then how those are fulfilled across the gamut of options. And so it might be easiest to like walk through a use case with a specific type of customer. Is an order comes in, it's a large wholesale order of 100 line items. 50 of those line items can be fulfilled right now, and it's sent automatically to the 3PL. 25 of those items are pre-ordered for a purchase order that already exists, and so making sure that those 25 line items count against the existing purchase order, and that the purchaser can identify like this these items are already allocated towards that existing sales order. And maybe the other 20 are back ordered, and so a purchase order is yet to be created. And maybe 5 of these items need an assembly order. And so how do we make sure that entire process for a single sales order is as automated as possible and things are going to the right places at the right time? Or even maybe, let's say in this example, it's partially fulfilled by the 3PL, it's partially fulfilled in-house, it's partially fulfilled by dropship. How do we make sure each of those line items goes to the right place, is fulfilled by the right person, and then that information is transmitted back to the order source, whether that's EDI through ASN or whether that's Shopify and some tracking number. And so that flow is what we're working on right now. And it'll probably take us up to the rest of the year to kind of nail down everything. What are the key hires for the end of the year that we're looking at?
Number one, we need a back-end developer, like a full-time, kick-ass, dedicated back-end developer. Yeah. That's what we need to really catch the product up to where our sales and marketing motion is. It's just time. We also need a CSM. I think by the end of this year, I think we're going to really start to understand what Luminous's margin is on our contracts, and that will really dictate like this concept of how many customers can one CSM handle, like how much revenue should their book of business be, and that will sort of dictate how we hire at scale for the CSMs. Then sales and marketing, I think I always just see it as like this variable cost that will go up and down, but it should pay for itself. So we're going to hire 2 SDRs, so one full cycle rep and then one pure SDR. And that should really be the team that takes us to 3 million.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we need anything more than that. We'll slowly scale bad spend.
So why do we go to SAAStr every year? So I've been to SAAStr since the very first one. It was in a hotel. It was crammed, and it was just an absolutely incredible experience. We get so stuck in kind of this Utah bubble of SaaS, and where you think your goals are so small. And I think you go to SAAStr and you see what SaaS and software outside of Utah looks like, and it sets your dreams in your eyes so much higher of what's possible, how fast you can grow, where the future is going to be. And you leave with such like a excitement about the business, about what you can do, so many new ideas on implementation and customer success and sales. It's just like the perfect time. I think every time I go, at first it's like, do I really want to do this again? But the whole team being there at SAAStr is just an incredible experience. And
I can honestly say that without SAAStr, I don't think our shared vision would be as well thought out as it is right now. Like,
yeah,
it truly, especially when you're at that pre-seed seed stage where you're just in the weeds, and I'm just like, I was doing all the implementations and the selling, and like when you go to SAAStr, it's the first time where you like pop your head out and you're just like, whoa, like I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't even know that was an idea.
And you've been twice, right?
Yeah.
And the first time, your first like talk or speech or whatever was with Mark Roberge.
Just Mark Roberge. He talks about like the different levers that you can pull for a startup, and he talks about like growth versus product versus sales and marketing. That's just such a good.
That's the difference. Mark Roberge, he's like one of those that speaks every year, and he's the first that he breaks down sales into essentially a math equation. And here's how you look at things. Here's the levers you pull.
It just levels you up because like there's sort of a what you find with all the really smart companies that have scaled. There's like a baseline of knowledge and understanding that like it's just part of the culture of SAAStr. It's like, oh yeah, this is around the time you should hire a VP of sales, and here's what you should look for, and like it's common knowledge, and they just throw it out there. But like I didn't know any of that stuff. I don't come from a SaaS background, so it's like all of the stuff that is just common knowledge amongst really smart people, you get to like sort of absorb it, and you just become so much smarter and more competent as a SaaS business owner.
I think I'm excited this year. We decided our team's still small enough. We wanted to bring enough people. We just decided we'd bring everybody, and we'd turn it into kind of our annual planning event. So take that inspiration that you get and then solidify it in just annual planning and goals. I think it'll be good for the entire team to see what real successful SaaS companies are doing.
Yeah. Something frustrating last year, though, was I think we'll be able to come out with a lot more tangible lessons than last year. Because last year, Monday.com was like the star child, and a lot of it was focused on the learnings of Monday.com. And I think we went away from it thinking like, oh, we should do PLG like them, and like, oh, that's the secret. And it's like, well,
we only had 6 customers.
yeah, we didn't have many customers back then.
We were still pivoting every month.
No, yeah, sorry. My point is like, we're pretty solidified like on like who we are right now. That I think this is just going to be like excellent ideas and inspiration.
Why are we on an open book right now with all our employees?
So I can give you my reason for being an open book. I come from, I've worked at a bunch of small businesses and businesses with like less than 10 employees. And I noticed that there's always horrible culture at these tiny businesses. And it was almost always came around like how much somebody was making and the decisions that the CEO was doing, how much he was taking home, and like it all came from, or how much equity this person had. And what I've always wanted to do at Luminous was just be totally open. Like there's nothing to gossip about. Like here's everything. You can see our bank balances. You generally know like about how much equity somebody has, and it just doesn't leave any room for like gossiping and making up the details. I'm curious how that's going to change as we grow. It's obviously going to change in some way, but I think that's why we have such amazing culture here. Is we're just open. There's no secrets. I'm surprised to hear that like most SaaS companies that are like Series A or even less than Series A, if they go out of business, like they don't even know what their burn is. They don't even know what their ARR is. They don't know if they were close or far away from the company quota. And I don't know, that always, I was always so confused. Like, why? You have like 10 people.
I know for me, I hate working in companies when I don't understand what's going on at the higher level. It's hard to feel any amount of ownership towards the success of the company if you have no idea what's going on. And I feel like sharing it all, putting it out there, even using those moments as teaching moments. A lot of people don't know what LTV or CAC means, or what's ARR and what's revenue. Like they don't understand these pieces, even to the point of like equity. Like most people when they get equity at a startup, it's like, hey, you got 1,000 shares. And it's like, well, what's the fully diluted cap table look like? What percent of ownership?
You're bringing up something really, it's like every one of, if there is a misunderstanding and somebody feels a certain way, a lot of times it's just it's either great feedback and you might have done the wrong decision, or it's just a really good teaching moment. I honestly believe that. Like, if you made a decision and everybody's like, what the fuck was that? Yeah.
Right.
You've got some good feedback. Like, that's something that maybe you made a really dumb decision. Or if you're doing something that's very standard, like the amount of equity you're awarding to somebody or bonusing to somebody, and, everybody else sees it and, like, he or she is, like, really mad. And you're like, oh, wait, hold on. Like, let's dive into this. This is actually really standard. And, like, it might be something that he or she just they didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, when 4UP exits or whatever happens and we're successful.
When Luminous exits.
What did I say, 4UP?
I said 4UP.
All right, no matter what. I think a big part is like when Luminous exits, when we finally finish whatever we're doing here and we are all successful, it needs to be a party with all the employees because we were all on board. We all kind of took sacrifices to join early on, and it should just be something we celebrate. So it shouldn't be something that, as founders, we get together and secretly celebrate what happened.
Yes.
I want it to be something we can all get together and really enjoy.
Yeah. Okay, I have to hop on.
Yeah.